Hey everyone, this is JerAmy.
And this is Amy.
And this is the JerAmy podcast, number 2. What are we talking about today, babe?
Today we're talking about Cain and Abel and feelings of jealousy. We all feel it sometimes. Let me tell you what the definition of jealousy is. It's feeling envy towards someone or toward their achievements or their success, and directing that envy toward that person.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about a classic, Cain and Abel. So let's talk about what happened there. You know, we're not going to read the text. If you want to read the text, it's Genesis chapter 4. And as Amy says, you have this envy. Jealousy is this envy. Really what it boils down to is insecurity. You don't feel secure in what you have and what relationships you have. Let's talk about what happened. So Adam and Eve fell. We talked about that last podcast chapter 1. If you haven't listened to that one, go ahead and watch or listen to that one. And then they have a son, Cain, that Eve thinks is like the promised one. Like, I've gotten a man from the Lord. He's going to strike the serpent's head. But then a second son is born named Abel. And what happens? They come to God to bring an offering. What happens?
Well, Abel, he makes a meat offering, a blood offering. And Cain, he decides he needs to make an offering too. So again, feelings of insecurity, he makes an offering, but his is a plant offering, which is acceptable in the Bible. God calls for plant offerings, but in this case, to cover sin, for the forgiveness of sin, plant offerings are not acceptable.
So yeah, without the shedding of blood, and you know, we already seen the precedent that God had killed 2 animals to get the skins to cover Adam and Eve. And so there was a kind of a precedent set by God. And we see that Cain's offering was it accepted or rejected?
It was rejected.
And Abel's offering was accepted. So this is a very interesting situation because we can all relate to this. If you have siblings, you can relate to this. I was jealous of my older brother and my younger brother because my older brother was confident, he was bigger, he was getting more attention from the ladies. My little brother was nearly perfect. He almost didn't need salvation because he was so perfect, but you know.
I was never jealous because I was the youngest child.
Well, he was just a good boy. He would sit down on the couch, and if his mother told him to stay there, he'd be there all day. He would just stay there, or like whatever he was told to do, he did it right away. He didn't complain, he didn't talk back, ever. And now he's a senior pastor of Desert Hills Baptist Church in Tucson. He was a chaplain for 10 years, and he's helped a lot of soldiers.
Do I still sense a little jealousy going on?
No, I'm proud of my younger brother. I'm not jealous.
Just kidding.
Well, you know what? It's insecurity to be jealous. It's a lot more admirable for a person to edify somebody who's achieved something and say, this person did great things. I heard a man say once, a wise man say, a great man will always wish greatness on others. And a jealous man, insecure man, will wish harm and a failure for others. So you want to be great men, so you want to wish greatness for others.
That's right. And as far as wishing evil on those who you are jealous of, jealousy is not just a feeling of envy. Jealousy is action, and it often results in some sort of action. And we see that in the story of Cain and Abel. It's a classic story. A lot of you know it. Cain kills his brother, takes him into the field and kills him, and tries to cover up his blood, his body. He tries to cover up what he did, but he cannot cover up what he has done.
Yeah, and the Lord came to him. But before that, Abel was going to Cain. My brother Chris, when I would be jealous of him, he would say, "JerAmy, you just got to do what's right, and this and that. Won't you be blessed too?" Abel was telling this to Cain. He says, "Hey, Cain, don't be jealous of me. Why are you so upset with me, man? You just have to do what I did. You just got to do what God wanted." If your approach to how you were going to please God didn't work, then maybe you should reassess what you did and maybe, admit to yourself that it wasn't the right way and just switch to the right way.
Right.
So let's go jump into what should have happened. We like to do this because reframe this whole story into what Cain should have done in relation to being rejected by God, being jealous of his brother. The first thing I would say, if you're a jealous person, if you can at all detach from the situation and look back from a bird's eye view about the situation objectively and try to reevaluate exactly what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is evil, what is correct and what is incorrect, and get emotions out of it. Try to get your emotions out of it, okay? If you can't see things objectively, you're going to make bad decisions.
Because your emotions will bias you.
Yeah, it will be too much for you to restrain, and it will cause you to do things that are compulsive. I have had this issue in my life where I've had relationships where I was like, man, I'm jealous of this person. Or back when I was single, I'm jealous of this person getting the attention of this lady, or I'm jealous of this relationship. And women do the same thing. I'm jealous of this girl. She's getting this attention.
Women get very jealous.
Absolutely.
And they act out too.
Absolutely. So let's go back to our subject here. What should Cain have done when he saw that he was rejected and that his sacrifice wasn't the sacrifice he was looking for?
Well, he should have just made it up to God, did the right thing, maybe took a lamb and sacrificed it for himself, and
detached emotionally, maybe?
Yeah.
Look, here's the simplest solution here in this situation. If Cain was super secure in himself as a man and wasn't looking for validation from God to the point to where his approach to him pleasing God being a failure, he's trying to push the fact that I should have been right in what I did. Why didn't God accept my sacrifice? Or I'm mad at my brother because God accepted his sacrifice. He seems to be more favored than me, just like Joseph and his brothers. So here's the thing. Oh, shoot, God didn't accept my offering. He accepted Abel's offering. Hey, Abel, can I sell you some grain to buy a lamb so I can sacrifice and be accepted by God? Oh, sure, brother. In fact, I'll give you a discount. Oh, no, Abel, don't worry about that. I'll pay you full price. Here's 2 bales of wheat for the lamb. Okay, cool. Now, the next sacrifice on the next new moon, we're going to go ahead and sacrifice to the Lord, and he's going to accept both of us because we both presented an offering that was acceptable. Story done. Abel stays alive. They're like bros for life, and they hang out, have fun, and talk, and everything's good.
That's
right.
What would have happened in a correct scenario.
Yeah.
But life isn't always like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's people out there murdering people. And I mean, so we have to look at this objectively and say, what should we do if we do something wrong? And the Lord, in this case, punished Cain. I mean, he showed extraordinary mercy. I mean, later on in the Bible, you see instances where people are put to death for murdering somebody, but he was just banished from his home, basically.
Yeah. And he was warned. Hey, if you don't stop this, sin crouches at the door like a lion. It's going to pounce on you, and you have to control it. He's going to make you do something you absolutely don't want to do. He didn't want to murder his brother, but he was emotionally compelled, and he murdered him. And so, back to when I was growing up, what was my situation? Let's apply this to real life, because some of you got siblings or people and coworkers that you're jealous of. They got promoted, or they got this benefit, or they got this attention, or they got this person. Your security should be in God, and you should not feel insecure because you have just as much opportunity for blessing and favor as they do. And you got to understand, pull back, detach, take a bird's eye view at the situation and realize what you have, not what you don't have. Okay? Everybody can find 100% security in God and in Jesus. But if you're constantly focused on what the other person's life and his blessings and his favor is like.
Oh, he has this, but I don't. Why?
Or this person or this girl likes this guy and she doesn't like me even though I've liked her for 4 years. Okay, well, work on yourself, buddy. Go to the gym, learn how to fight, get some intellect and skill sets, make yourself a higher value man, and you're going to naturally attract those type of women. So, yeah, work on yourself, work out, learn to fight, get some intellect, some self-development skills and some people skills, learn some entrepreneurism maybe, learn to be confident, and you're going to attract the kind of people that you want to attract, including women. If you're a guy, if you're a girl, work on yourself, be a high-value woman. We're going to talk about that next week. Cain should have detached and worked on himself. He should have reflected on himself and said, hey, what can I do to make myself better? What can I do to be accepted with God? And that really is the issue there. And God was patient. He was just talking with him. Hey, don't do this. Consider your ways. Look at where your heart's at. And if you don't change, then something bad's going to happen. And you're going to do something you don't want to do. If you keep dwelling on the fact that
warned him.
You didn't measure up to the standard. So
just like he warned Adam and Eve not to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
He warned Cain that not to sin.
Yeah. So concluding here, we've done the story, we've done the what should have happened, applied it to our life. And I would say just if you're in this season of life where you have somebody that you're just jealous of for whatever reason, and your whole investment emotionally is in looking at this person, what they have, whose attention they have, or whose favor they have over you, just step back and detach. If you've got to go out of town for a weekend and just think about this and think through it and just reconnect yourself with God and realize you have just as much favor and opportunity to be blessed as this other person, and be secure in what you have and who you are and whose you are, you'll be able to break this cycle of thought of like, why am I not good enough?
Jealousy will never make you fulfilled, secure, happy, any of those things.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
We shouldn't be striving against each other and envying one another. We should be edifying one another in love and encouraging others to be better than ourselves. Because he said also, don't think of yourself being better than someone else. So these are concepts that constantly keep us humble, because we cannot think of ourselves better than what we really are. God has put a value on us that is equal to all the people in our life. And he's not going to say you're better than someone else or you're whatever. Moses was the most humble man, and he was put in the top leadership position, but he wasn't without enemies and people that envied him. Korah, even his own sister kind of says, why does Moses get to have all the authority, you know? And she got leprosy, got kicked out of the camp. God will defend his leaders and his people. So if people try to come against God's leaders, God's going to defend them. And so be careful about who you're fighting against, because God's people are protected.
Now, speaking for Moses' sister, she did a lot to help Moses in the whole leadership thing, but she was not the head leader. She was not the one that God put in charge to be over the camp of Israel. And whenever you defy leadership and become jealous of somebody in leadership, that is not a good situation. And you may end up like Miriam in a bad situation.
So to wrap it up, guys, don't be jealous. Be secure in God and in your salvation. Work on yourself. Men, work out. Do martial arts. I encourage you to do martial arts. Me and my son do jiu-jitsu every week for 3 days, and it's great. The community's great, keeps you humble. continue to add to your self-improvement, self-development, your intellect, your people skills. Dress nice, wear a nice collared shirt, walk out knowing that you're a high-value man. This is to my men. I'm going to have my own podcast on that, talking to you men, you young men out there that are single. Gosh, we need help these days with helping our single men, don't we? And women these days. There's a lot of confusion in the culture. So to wrap it up, guys, thank you for watching. This is our second podcast. Keep watching. There's going to be another one coming out next week. We're going to be talking about the fall of man before the flood and how it happened. And we look forward to that one. That's going to be a really interesting one for me. I'm looking forward to it. But until next time, God bless you all. We'll see you on the next one.